All right, this session is going to be on the ship alt tracker, the APS ship alt tracker. First thing that happens is a TI comes in with the ship alts that we will be funded to do. And when it comes in, it will look something similar to this. Okay? This is a TI ship alt funding document. Okay? You see all the red text? The red text means this is the latest revision. This came in on revision 2 of the TI. These are your ship alt numbers, your ship alt identifiers, noun names, and this is the type of work that is going, the type of support that is required for these ship alts. Okay? So now what we do is we take our APS ship alt tracker form, and you notice how these blocks right here are green. So the APS ship alt tracker form, these blocks are green, which these blocks should be the same as these blocks. So what you will eventually do is you will copy this data from the TI and put into this form. And as you can see, there are 19, we need 19 lines. So with that said, you can see we need to add a couple more lines in here. Okay. So we just start. We copy. And paste. Okay, avail. So if these are all the same, the avail, start date, identifier, brief, work item type, WI, comments, labor CLIN, ODC CLIN, and TI revision. So we can copy all this data at one time and put it on the ship alt tracker. Okay? So now all of this yellow information is the data you will input as the APS. Okay, so this becomes our ship alt tracker. So we want to update the SSP number, and we add the CNO number, the avail type, which is CNO1. Okay. Okay. So with the ship alt tracker, there are some important worksheets down here. One thing is what we call the desk guide, because the next thing we will be filling out is ASSR available? Okay. So is it even require an ASSR? So we look at the desk guide, and these are the types of ship alts that we could get. Support work item types: support service, shipyard install, split industrial activity, or a conjunction type. Okay. So then what we would have is, you can see SS's, any ship alt that is a support service ship alt always requires an ASSR. Okay. So these ASSRs are going to come from your AIT coordinator via an email. He's going to send you an email, and so he's going to send you an email and attach what is called an ASSR. So this is the ASSR. Here is the ship-alt that this ASSR supports, ship-alt 97085K. So with that, we look at our ship-alt tracker, and there's 97085K. Okay, is ASSR available? That was the ASSR. So we type the word yes in there. Alright, here's another one. Here's another ASSR, which goes with ship-alt 30437. And as you can see up here, it also has the WN that will be associated with it. So 30437. So we go over here and look for the ship-alt 30437. line 10, 30437. So we have that ASSR. Okay, and it says ASSR task WN. So we know, based on the information he has given us, the WN and EXSYL011. So we're going to put EXSYL011. Okay? Now, as you can see, everything that we mark yes that we have gets color-coded green. Okay? So therefore, we are going to color code these things green. Okay? Now, remember this WN didn't have a this ASSR didn't have a WN number beside it, but what we do know is this is an SS. The desk guide, it tells you SS type work items. A WN and ASSR are needed for these. The WN will typically be an EXSY TAC LXXX. So what we will do is we will put EXSY type L123. Okay? So that lets us know we need a EXSYL WN. Okay? Alright, so all our SS's, they're going to say that, okay? Now, if you don't have an ASSR for it, you're going to put no in the block. And you still know that a SS work type ship-alt is going to get an EXSYLXX. Okay? Alright, so let's look at the desk guide again. Alright, there's your four types of work type ship-alts. You got SYs, SSs, SYs, SIAs, and conjunction. Alright, here's your SSs. They need a WN and an ASSR. There's the WN number, typically EXSYL123. Let's see, the WN and the ASSR will identify the support services needed. Okay, and then it gets tied to a WI. So the WN gets tied to a WI, and it is 98090 with a sequential number. So you need to fill that part in. So we know okay. So once the WN is tasked to us, or we know the number, let me back up. You see what we've got here? See, you might know what the number is, and it hasn't been tasked, and see what you're going to do. You're going to put need that WN, and you're going to color it red. Okay, and we're going to color it red. And so if we need that WN, that's what we're going to put here. Need WN in order to make the WI. Okay, so anything we need, we color code red. Okay. Alright, so then if we go back to the sample, and here we go again, the status, you notice we don't have the WN, and we'll put need WN in the status also. Okay, and we're gonna get rid of the WI number until we get the WN. Okay, and it's red. All right. All right. So let's move on to another SS. Okay, like we said before. This is a SS3.4.2.5. Okay, let's do one more. Here's another one. So here's an ASSR, and you notice it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ship alts on it. So you have to go to all 5 of those ship alt numbers and put this ASSR in there. Okay, so we're looking for 96801. So this ASSR will support 96801. So here's 96801. We can say yes. It also supports 96254. 96254. So we can put a yes in that block. It also supports 96801. There's 96801. We did that one. 96801. Listen, now notice there's a 96801 OA and there's a 96801 ship alt. So you have to make sure you get the right one. So this is 96801 ship alt. This is 96801 ord alt. Okay, so 96801. So yes goes here. And then we get order 96589, 96589, 9658589 is right here. And we've got one more, order 96254. Order 96254. So we got a yes. So all these are yeses. So all these yeses can be color coded green. And we also have the ASSR for those. Okay, which we just said yes. And we know the WN number is, because the WN is listed on it, EXSYL118. So we'll go, we don't have it yet, but we know it's going to be need EXSYL118. Whoops. Alright, so we know we need that WN for all these to support this ASSR. Okay, we don't have it yet, so we're going to make that red. Alright, and since we don't have it, we don't have a WI number yet, so we'll put need WI, or need WN, excuse me. And you'll put that on all these and color code these red. And then we want the status of the WI. Well, we need the WN, so we're just going to say again, need WN. Okay? Okay, let's do one more. All right, here's ASSR for shipbolt 97990. All right. Nine seven nine nine zero. There it is right there. Is shipbolt, is ASSR available? Yes. Okay, do we know what the WN number is? The WN number EXSYL066. Okay, and it just so happens that this is on a tasking memo right now for us to accept. Okay. So we have this ASSR and we have been tasked with this WN. Okay. Now we have nothing has happened, so now it asks us what is the WI number. We haven't assigned it to a WI yet, so we're going to put on avail. Lets us know what the status is of this WN. We've received it because it's green. We have not assigned it to a WI because it's on avail, and we don't have a status because it's on avail. So we're just going to put on avail over here too. Okay. Okay, we're going to do one more where we have a WI number for it. Okay, here is shipbolt 99304. 99304, okay? So here is 99304. We have the ASSR. We know the WN is EXSYL014. EXSY tech L014. EXSY tech L014. Okay. Now this WN has been tasked to us already also, and we do know in NMD this WN has been assigned to a WI, so we are going to, that is the WI number of this WN in NMD. And right now that WI is in a preliminary status. Okay? So those are the three situations with WNs being tasked and ASS and having ASSRs available. So with this no one, remember, we need it, so we're going to make it red. All right. This one, we need that WN, so it gets made red. Okay, so what this does is when we send this up to our senior managers, when they talk to Marmac about what they need, they can key on the red blocks in order to tell Marmac what's needed. Okay. Okay, so now we've talked about support, service, ASSRs, and ship-alts. So now let's go to conjunction type work items. First, you must identify the WI type to be in conjunction with. All right, so if you have a conjunction, all right, so this ship-alt right here, or 95254, is in conjunction with 962, which support with ship-alt 96254. Okay, so we have to find ship-alt 96254. Okay, so here's ship-alt 96254, and its work type is an SS. So this ship-alt is going to be worked in conjunction with 96254. So this one and this one are going to be worked in conjunction with each other. So that means if this is a support service, this is going to be a support service. Okay, and you can see how they both have the same ASSR, L118, L118. And they're also going to have the same so they have the same WN. Okay? Let's look at another one. So this conjunction is in conjunction with ship-alt 96801. So we come over here and find here's ship-alt 96801. That ship-alt is a support service also. All right. And remember, on the ASSR, this ASSR L118 had this ship-alt number on it. Okay? Okay, so you will also get, sometimes you will get ship-alts with an SY work type. Okay? So let's look at what we would do with an SY. Let's say we had a ship-alt right down here with an SY. All right, here's our SY ship alt. Okay. So what are we looking for this SY ship alt? We go to our desk guide. It says a SY ship alt only requires a WN to write the WI. The WN is typically a EXSAZ number, and it gets a WI number of with a 90 in the middle. Okay, 900 TAC 90. Okay, so we just need one WN to write a shipyard install. No ASSR is required for a shipyard install. So what we do then, if this is a shipyard install, we put a NA because we don't need an ASSR. And you can see these bold borders, everything in between here deals with the ASSR. So all of these are going to be NA. Okay, because no ASSR is needed to support a shipyard install ship alt. Okay, so now we look at our tracker. So here's our SY and SIA ship alts. Okay, so that's where the data for the SY and SIA ship alts go. Okay, so let's look at our desk guide again. It says we only need a WN to write an SY. Alright, so we need a WN. So first thing it asks me, WN, has it been tasked? We know it's going to be, no, it hasn't been tasked, so we need an EXSA TAC Z Okay, so we need an EXSA WN. We need it. What are we going to do with a need? We're going to color code it red. Okay, because we need the WN, we don't have a status of the WI. So we're going to put need WN. Same thing here, need WN. Now, let's look. Alright, let's look at the desk guide again. Okay, so for a shipyard install, only a WN is required. The WN is going to be an EXSYZ XXXWN. So let's do another SY and SY. Okay, so we know, here's another SY. We know we don't need any ASSR, so that all gets NA'd. But we need the WN, and there is a WN tasked. That WN has been tasked to support that ship alt. So I have that WN. But it hasn't been put on a WI yet. So that's going to be green. And then it's going to be on a veil here too. Okay. So that's a shipyard install that we have the WN, but we haven't done anything with the WN yet. Okay. Typically these shipyard install ship alts also require SOWs. Okay. And right now we have no SOW here, and we do have an SOW here. Okay, if you look at the desk, guide, the SOWs come from the PMR. So you would ask him, is there a SOW available? I'm sorry, I messed up. SOWs are typically not available for shipyard installs. Now let's look at our sample one more time at a shipyard install. SIDS. There are SIDS available with shipyard installs. So we asked the planner, are the SIDS, the drawings, available? And if they are, we put yes or no. Are actual SIDS available? So right now there are no SIDS available on this particular one, but there are drawings available for this one. Okay, so we're going to make that one red, and we'll make this one green. So now this becomes an NA, because we don't need a sister ship. We're not going to use sisters on any of these. Okay. And do you know what the EDD? You probably don't know what the EDD is right now. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to show you is what they call the PARM activity. The PARM activity, you're going to get that information off the LOA. Okay, we received the LOA from the maintenance activity. The LOA is a letter that identifies the ship halts that are being considered for your availability. Okay? And they are sequenced by A- number. So currently our ship is in an A- 400 status. Okay, so what we do is we look at the LOA, and you see the PARM activity on the LOA. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the PARM activity on the LOA to put in that block. So we have, let's look at these. Ship alt 97085. So we're looking for ship alt 97085. There it is right there. Alright, it's the second one. So the PARM activity is NavAir PMA 280. So we put that right here. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, so what you're going to want to do, so I explained the conjunction. So let's look at what they call a SIA. An SIA work type. 2 WNs are required for SIAs, okay? 1 for support services needed to write the WI, and ASSR is also needed to write the support services. So therefore, you're going to get 2 WNs. You're going to get one to do the ship alt to install the ship alt, and one for support services of the ship alt. So what will it look like? So if we had an SIA, we know we need an ASSR. Do we have one? No, we do not have one. So we need the WN. And the WN for ASSRs is EXSY TAC L sequential number. Alright, because we need the WN, we'll put need WN in this block. And need WN in the next block. Okay, so we need all this stuff. So all this stuff is going to be red. Okay, so now we know we need an EXSA WN. So the next block says this is an SIA and we need the WN, okay? So we need WN EXSA Z123. Alright, so remember to install the alt if they are EXSA WNs. Okay, same thing. We need WN. We need WN. Okay. Alright. And since this is a shipyard install and it's an SIA, we need what they call a scope of work. We need SIDS. Do we have them? No. We will not use sisters. And we do not know when the material is coming in. And then we have the PARM. The PARM, let's just say this is, let's find it and see on this LOA it tells you also SS's NWI, no work item required, so you won't get a tasking memo or ASSRs for those. Here's a shipyard install. And you can see on this particular availability there appears to be no SIAs. Okay? But if we had an SIA, that's what an SIA would look like, because we need an EXSY for the ASSR and we need an EXSA for the portion of the ship alt that gets performed. Okay? Okay, so with that said, let's look at the desk guide one more time. So we've got our support services. We've got our shipyard support services requires an ASSR and an EXSY WN. Shipyard installs require only a WN, and the WN will be an EXSY Z pushed WN. Our SIAs require two WNs, one for the ASSR and one for the shipyard install. So therefore we will have an EXSA WN and an EXSYWN. We will also have an ASSR because the EXSYWN supports the ASSR. And remember, if you have a conjunction ship-alt, the conjunction ship-alt tells you it's in conjunction with, so the with is what the conjunctioned ship-alt will be work typed by. So if it's in a conjunction with another SS, that means this will only be an SS. If it's in conjunction with an SY, that means you'll need an EXSY and an EXSAWN, and with that EXSYWN, you will need an ASSR. So, read the instructions. Okay, so as you can see, this ship-alt tracker is all filled out. All the blocks should be filled out, whether they're NA'd. Nothing should be left blank, because that lets our senior managers know what is required. If you leave it blank, our senior managers don't know if the drawing is required, the ASSR is required, a WN is required. So you need to fill out the blocks on every ship-alt. Okay, so now once we get the ship-alt funding document, so remember, once you get the ship-alt funding document, you will need to write a PCFR that identifies all the ship-alts that have been funded and the GFI that is required for each ship-alt. Okay, so the best thing is to write the PCFR of everything that's been funded. Fill out the ship-alt tracker. Once we fill out the ship-alt tracker, you need to write another PCFR that tells the government what GFI is required, what GFI is needed. 2 PCFRs. 1 PCFR for this is what's funded, and 1 PCFR for this is what we need to write the work specs. Okay? All right, we're going to pick up with the ship-alt tracker, talking about the change sheet. Okay, so what has happened here, we have filled out the ship-alt tracker with all the GFI that we have and what we don't have. And as you can see, this PCFR, so for everything we don't have, we have to write a PCFR on. So we wrote PCFR 1, identifying each one of these ship-alts and what is missing. Okay, so for example, ship-alt 97085, we are missing the WN EXSYL XXX. ship out 30941. We're missing the ASSR and WNEXSYLXXX. Okay, so you do that for everything that is missing. Okay, so now after a period of time, you've given the government maintenance team time to get these products to us, and they still have not gotten them to us. So now it's time to also pull the LOA, get a copy of their latest LOA. This particular boat, the LOA is A-400. Okay, you can see right here in the subject, this is for the Ross. This is the A-400 LOA coming from PMS 421. So what we have to do is we have to take this LOA, and here is the list of all the ship-outs that are tied to this boat. Okay, you have ship-outs that are, as they call them, authorized, which are green. You have ship-outs that are planned, not authorized. Okay, so they're not sure they're going to do those yet. And then you have ship checks, ship-outs that have been deferred. So what we have to do is we have to take our ship-out list, and we need to bounce every one of these ship-out numbers with the ship-out numbers on the LOA. Okay, and couple things we're looking for: make sure the ship-out is on the LOA, and you're looking to see what the type of ship-out this is going to be: a support service, SY, SIA. Okay, and for your information, NWI stands for no work item required. So if we have a ship-out number that's been funded to us and it's tied to an NWI, we're not going to get anything to do with it because they don't need any WI to perform this particular ship-out. Okay, so with that said, I've already looked at the LOA, and I'm going to show you some examples. This particular ship-out, 30941, it does not show up on the LOA. Okay, so what we need to do is we'll write a APS note, and we also have to write a PCFR, which we have. Alright, so we wrote PCFR 4, identifying this ship-out is not on the LOA. So this next one down here, 99343, we're saying it's on the deferred list. 99343, 99343, it's on the deferred list. Okay, so we have to write a PCFR on that. Okay, so we wrote those two PCFRs, letting the maintenance team know this one is not on the LOA and this one has been deferred. So more than likely we're not going to get anything to plan these, but since we're funded, we're looking for the information. So now what we do is we take these two line items, you're going to copy, and you're going to go to the change sheet, and you're going to insert, copy, and we're going to go to the change sheet, and you have to get the ship-out on here also. got to copy all the same blocks. Okay. Alright, so this ship alt right here is not tasked on the LOA. Here's the two PCFRs that have been written against it. Let's open our blocks up a little bit. Okay. So that's what it was. That's what it is on our tracker. So let's go get the other one, which is this one right here. You notice I started with the TI revision. Okay. And now I need this stuff right here. Copy, copy, copy. Okay, so that's what we have. Got two PCFRs written. So when my boss looks at this ship alt tracker and sees this change sheet, he sees we wrote these two PCFRs 4 and 5. Okay, we don't do anything down here until we get an answer on the PCFR. Okay, this means we wrote the PCFR. All right, so once the answer comes back, we copy this. And you notice this says original, which is on the tracker, and this is what the answered PCFR is going to tell us to do. So the answered PCFR tells us don't plan these. So since we're not going to plan them, we're going to put NAs in these blocks. Okay, and what we do is we highlight these yellow. Alright. And then we take these and put them on the tracker like so. Whoops. I can only do one at a time. This is the copy, copy, copy. So these go here, and then you get another set that goes here. Okay, so now this tells, when I look at the ship alt tracker, I can look and see that these are in the change sheet. If they're yellow, they've been put on the change sheet. Okay. So you don't put them in the changed until you get the answer to the PCFR. Okay. So let's look at that one more time. Here's our tracker. This has got an additional PCFR. These first PCFRs were written identifying this is everything that's missing. All the red is missing. The second PCFR was written the deficiency with the funded line item and the LOA. Sometimes you may find, when you bounce this against the LOA, you may find that these work item types may not be the same thing as the LOA. And if that is the case, you'll have to write a PCFR saying LOA calls this an SY install, and put it on the change sheet as an SS, and when it comes back, yes, it is a SY, then you bring it down here and change it to a SY. But you don't put it on that changed until you get the answer to the PCFR. And anything that goes in the original, there should be a PCFR identifying what's in this block. Okay? And that concludes the ship alt tracker. Oh, one more thing I neglected. As time goes on and the specs get written, get identified on WNs and WIs, you should keep these statuses up to date. Typically, your boss is going to want to see this on every Tuesday, so that when he talks to the government, they talk to the government about what the status is. So you need to make sure these statuses are updated by every Tuesday. All right, this concludes the ship alt tracker.